Video on the North Coast 500 and our itinerary. So shall we do it? Hey folks, Mr. Gavin Bell here, and thank you very much for coming and watching this video. If you're new here, please be sure to subscribe. If you're not new here, or if you are new here, please be sure to like this video, comment on this video, and share it with a friend that you think might be interested. One of the questions that I've been getting asked a lot since I've done the North Coast 500 is, where should we go? Where should we stay? What things do we need to see? How many nights did you do? How many nights do you recommend? And so I thought I would take a few minutes to share my North Coast 500 itinerary with you now. So first up, how did we plan the trip? Well, we knew that we had 5 nights, because that's all we had, and we knew the route, 500 miles. So we decided, let's try and do roughly 100 miles every single day. And we looked at some of the best places to stay on the route, looking at other people's itineraries, Google searching and things, and we came up with our 5 places. Number 1 was Kisshorn, night 1. Night 2 was Ullapool.
Fist popping, got your mouth dropping, super tongue shocking, feel the taste rocking. Head first, flavor burst, hit him with that max taste to free your thirst. So let's go. Ice cold, taste the bowl, burning liver, shiver, giving, gotta love some Pepsi Max.
Night 2 was Ullapool. Night 3 we stayed in Durness. Night 4 we stayed just near John O'Groats in a place called East May. Night 5 we stayed in Dornoch, and then we drove down and back in Edinburgh on day 6. So once we decided which places we were going to stay, we went onto Airbnb and had a look at the different places in each location that we wanted. And sometimes we couldn't get a place like directly in Ullapool town centre, or we couldn't get a place exactly where we wanted to, but Airbnb is pretty good and you can search a kind of radius of where you want to go. So we did that and we found 5 incredible places. Our accommodation costs altogether were roughly £400, so £200 each, not bad at all. And that was a mixture of a maisonette, a couple of glamping pods, somebody's cabin, 2 cabins. So 2 cabins, 2 glamping nights, and 1 maisonette, so we basically had the basement in somebody's house. Could not recommend the Airbnb way of doing it any more than we did. We struck really lucky with the people that were hosting us, and also the places that we were staying, all amazing. But let's get into the itinerary. So on day 1, we basically had to drive from Edinburgh out to Kisshorn, which is quite a fair drive, and we decided that coming from Edinburgh we wanted to go through the Cairngorms and go see the reindeer park and then head west from there. So on day 1 we left Edinburgh at 7 in the morning and then headed to the reindeer park in the Cairngorms. We went there for like half an hour, basically just to stretch the legs, and it cost like £3 to get in and have a look at the reindeers, which was pretty cool. Then we headed north to Rogie Falls, which was a really nice kind of just picturesque place. You've got waterfalls and you've got trees and forests, and it's just a nice walk. It was good to stretch the legs there as well. And after going to Rogie Falls, we then stocked up on food before heading west out to our cabin in Kisshorn. We got to Kisshorn, we unpacked the car. So many midges there, by the way, so many midges. Then we headed up to Shieldig, where we went kayaking that night with Shieldig Adventures, which was incredible. The sea was flat calm. There's a Shieldig island that we kayaked around. There was a white-tailed eagle at the other end of the island, and we came back and we spent about 2.5 hours kayaking, and it was just absolute perfection. Could not have had a better day. So that was day 1. So on day 2 we basically had to go from Kisshorn up to Ullapool, and the main thing that we really wanted to see that day was the Bealach na Ba, which is a road with the steepest ascent any in the UK, and it's basically a long winding road that goes up really steep through these incredible mountains. It's such a beautiful place and probably one of my best sights that I've ever seen in Scotland. So we did that road. That took us probably about 2 hours. There is a road that goes from Kisshorn to Shieldig in about 20 minutes, but we did this long windy road that takes you along the coast, and that took about 2 hours. Takes you through Applecross, and that was stunning. Definitely something you need to do. After that we went to Shieldig, we got some lunch in Shieldig, then we headed to the Corrie Gorge, and that was something that we stopped at the side of the road. We didn't really know what to expect. Walked down this kind of path, and we were expecting to see like something like the Devil's Pulpit, but you get there and it's like this 60-metre drop, and you're stood on top of this old bridge looking down 60 metres. There's a waterfall. It's an incredible spot, and there's a viewing platform that you can walk out over the gorge itself. Amazing. Again, something that you should definitely go and check out. So after the gorge, we headed into Ullapool and we got some fish and chips for dinner and walked around Ullapool just to explore the town. I love Ullapool. It's somewhere I definitely want to go back. I wish we could have spent more time in the town of Ullapool. We just sat at the edge of the water on the beach, and just the sea was just flat calm, so we just sat there and just enjoyed taking it in after having an amazing fish and chips. So day 3 was probably the day that we had the most activities, probably my favourite day. That west coast side of Scotland from Ullapool up to Durness is absolutely stunning. And we got up really early, went to the Bone Caves and walked around the Bone Caves, which were incredible. I've done a video on that if you want to go have a look at it. Then after the Bone Caves, after doing we were probably hiking for a couple of hours, and it was quite warm, so after that we got in the car and headed to Achmelvik Beach. Got the wetsuits on, played some frisbee on the beach, went for a swim in the sea, and that beach is absolutely stunning. The water is crystal clear. I had my snorkeling mask on and was like swimming, looking for crabs. If you get a chance to go to Achmelvik Beach, you have to go there, definitely. After that, we continued north and went to Clashnessie Falls, which there wasn't much rainfall over the last few months in Scotland, so the waterfall wasn't crazy, but it was still stunning. It's probably something that I wouldn't say is a definite must go and see, but if you're on that road anyway, heading up to Durness, it's definitely something to stop and have a look at. And then we travelled up north to Durness, and we had this amazing little cabin that we found in Airbnb, which had a sauna, so we just spent the evening in Durness in the sauna and just chilling out. Day 4 meant going from Durness to John O'Groats. We got up really early that morning and headed down to the Smoo Cave first thing and took a look in the Smoo Cave. We didn't take the boat trip in further to the cave, we just kind of stayed in the cave and took a look at it. And it was massive, absolutely massive. Something that I wasn't expecting it to be as big as it was. But we went there first thing, and then we headed to Cocoa Mountain, which was a place that we weren't sure how good it was going to be because we'd heard so many things about this place. It meant to be the best hot chocolate in the world. So we went with high expectations and had genuinely the best hot chocolate I think I've ever had. It was absolutely incredible, and their croissants with white chocolate over the top. Wow.
Does it live up to expectations?
It does.
Fueled by that sugar, we then started making the drive over east. Unfortunately, we didn't get time to go look at some of the beaches, but the beaches at that part of the world are incredible. And then we went further east and went to the Dunnet Bay Distillery, where they make the Rock Rose gin, and had a distillery tour there at 11 in the morning, I think it was. And that was really interesting, really cool to hear the story about how the gin came about, the owner's story, and they've got a beautiful, beautiful distillery there. After the distillery tour, we headed further east to John O'Groats and had a look at the famous sign and walked around there. And that was a really beautiful part of the world, somewhere that you see quite a lot online, but I'd never been before, so it's nice to go and actually see that. And then where we were staying that night, the Crofters Snug is in East May, which is slightly further west from John O'Groats. We've got family that own that, and so we went and just spent the afternoon and evening with them. And we were in this beautiful cabin that looked over Orkney. The sun was setting. We went out for a walk late at night to see the puffins down at the beach. It was just an incredible, incredible night. But Crofters Snug, I would highly recommend staying there. They've got glamping pods, and it's just a beautiful part of the world. To be able to see Orkney, someone from Shetland being able to see Orkney was really cool. It felt like I was really close to home, despite being on the mainland. Day 5 was going from John O'Groats down to Dornoch, and it was quite an interesting day. The rain started, so we wanted to go to the Walgo Steps, which is meant to be a really cool place, but we didn't have time and it was raining, and instead what we decided to do was just went straight from John O'Groats down to Dunrobin Castle, because at 11:30 at Dunrobin they do the falconry display, and that is something that you need to do. Absolutely amazing. Dunrobin Castle, we weren't sure whether we wanted to pay to go in, but we decided to do it, and it was 100% worth it. The castle itself is amazing, and also the falconry show was really amazing and interesting as well. 5 minutes along the road from Dunrobin Castle is an old broch. I think it's pronounced Cairn Lyeth. I don't know how it's pronounced, but we went and had a wee look at that. And after that, we decided to go straight down to Chanonry Point. We went past where we were staying that night, and Chanonry Point is one of the best places in the world, or best places in Scotland at least, to watch dolphins. At a certain time of the day, based on the tides, the dolphins will come in and they'll feed on the fish that are coming in after low tide. And we went and we stood there for a couple of hours, 2-3 hours, and just watched the dolphins feeding in the bay. They were so close to us. That was probably one of the best parts of the trip again. It was amazing just the last night just to stand there and watch dolphins. I've never seen dolphins in the wild before, so to see them in Scotland was amazing. We had fish and chips that night, takeaway fish and chips, and it was so good. The fish and chips were amazing. And then we headed up to where we were staying that night and got some sleep. Our final day, we left Dornoch and headed south back to Edinburgh, and we just decided to go to Glen Eagles for a wee trip on the way down. Got some food at Glen Eagles, just wandered around, went and saw the dogs, and got back to Edinburgh that afternoon. And the North Coast 500 trip was genuinely one of the best trips I've ever done. Some of the sites, especially up the west coast of Scotland, was absolutely beautiful. And a piece of advice would be spend more time going up the west coast and less time going down the east coast. That's not to say the east coast isn't beautiful and there's not much things to do there, but that driving on the west coast of Scotland, kind of northwest coast of Scotland, is just incredible. In some places I was like, this cannot be Scotland. It's like Canada, it's like what I'd imagine New Zealand to be like, just absolutely beautiful. So I'd spend more time going up that west coast. I would like to spend more time in Durness as well and look at some of the beaches. And if you have time as well, go over to Kirkwall in Orkney when you're at John O'Groats, but we just didn't have time on the 5 days. The 5 days for us felt like a good amount of time. I felt like we got to do everything that we wanted to do, all the main things that I've spoken about in this video. You could do it over a longer period of time. I don't think I would do it over a shorter period of time. I think 5 nights is probably your minimum. Otherwise you're going to be spending more time driving and less time being able to do things like going swimming at Ackmelvig Beach. Those are my favourite things that I've done that we did on the North Coast 500. I hope that helps if you're trying to plan a trip or if you're wanting to go on the North Coast 500. If you're thinking about it, just do it because it's such an incredible trip. A lot of people said the roads were dangerous. We didn't find them dangerous at all. We just had a great time. Any other questions, leave them in the comments. Be sure to like this video, be sure to share it with a friend that's maybe thinking about the North Coast 500. What's